Hello, my name is Martin Casares. For this week's analysis of mass media and popular culture, I have chosen to examine GQ magazine. GQ is a magazine that is targeted to the male population, to which GQ stands for Gentleman Quarterly. Most of their covers show a well-groomed man, and unlike other magazines, GQ does not try to gain the attention of men by putting semi-naked women on their covers. Yes, they do have women on their covers, but that's not their focus. The magazine is loaded with tips on how to be your best self. In my opinion, this is a roundabout way to help men attract women. The goal of this video is not for me to argue why I disapprove of their tactics to sell magazines. Instead, I will try to analyze the ads that are in the magazine with a sociologist mindset. Their online magazines advertises in a very specific way, almost tailored. They advertise companies and products based on your search history. For example, mine had an ad for Tyco Electronics, TE, as well as some apartment communities in the Rancho area. My wife and I have been looking to move closer towards my work. In my opinion, this came up because I use TE's website for work, and sometimes I work using my personal computer. If you would like to try this out, I do a couple of Google searches for a very specific item, such as an 1800s rocking chair. After you do this multiple times, the ads on the websites will reflect some type of vintage furniture. This is the mass media using our information to tailor our ads to our specific desires. Going back to the paper magazine, some of these ads that I encountered were exotic cars, Viagra, expensive watches, alcohol, deodorant, and we can now look over the fact that GQ advertises their own brand. GQ now offers an included grooming kit with a subscription to their magazine. In my opinion, the demographic of this magazine aims for men between the ages of 20 to 50. Some of these ads were sprinkled with manliness all over them. One example of this is the Old Spice deodorant ad, in which they have chosen men to emulate masculinity. Just recently, Terry Crews was replaced by the actor Isaiah Mustafa. The actor's job is to persuade us that this deodorant is and has always been men's choice of deodorant because your grandfather used it. The ad encourages men to take care of their body odor because it's socially acceptable for men to care about how he smells like. In addition, unlike Axe body spray commercials, Old Spice does not claim that it can attract women. Instead, Old Spice leaves you to make that assumption. They do this by subtly hinting at it in the latter part of their slogan. The original, if your grandfather wouldn't wear it, you wouldn't exist. One ad that is not quite socially acceptable by our culture is Viagra. The ads for Viagra usually focuses on women to whom the man is using the product for. And oftentimes that woman is explaining the product. Almost always the man can be seen in the background, but his face is concealed. I believe this is due to the fact that we as a culture accept the use of Viagra, but it is still a sensitive subject, where its users are embarrassed. Hence, my guess is that the reason the man's face is hidden and the attractive woman explains the product, easing the pain associated with a lack of performance to a man's masculinity. Ethnocentric ads are also visible, but are not as obvious as in other magazines. I believe GQ does a great job with their ads and how they allow us to be influenced by them. GQ does not opt for the America style of ads. Instead, they do it subtly. I would argue that the advertisers tailor their ads to the area where the magazine is being issued. I believe that if we picked up a version of GQ from England, their ads would be different. Perhaps we would see an ad for a car built in the UK with the slogan, "The best the UK has to offer." I was surprised not to see an ad for Ford, America's best-selling truck. With this ad, I believe they are selling us the American brand and not the truck itself. Ideal culture is the norms, values, and behaviors that are acceptable in our culture. GQ shares this in their articles, but their ads, again, are tailored to the American public. A subscription to the New York Times is offered in the magazine. Mannerisms and the roles that actors play in the ads are culturally acceptable. Their fashion advertisements reflect the style that is as socially acceptable as masculine for the American male. Our culture accepts rugged, yet well-groomed men. In my opinion, most of these men on these ads are dressed to look business professional, business casual, or have that rugged look I mentioned. Most of these men are wearing a dark or other masculine colors or prints. When they wear lighter or more feminine colors, they are usually sported by a man whose sexuality cannot be questioned. We see the norm with the Greek Oikos yogurt, in which their advertisement encourages men to buy yogurt without the fear of buying something girly because it's packaged differently. Most of these ads share a trait in common: being surrounded by either women or a group of people. Isolation is being hinted at with these ads. Social isolation. The advertisers are not directly saying, if you buy this, you will be surrounded by beautiful women. Again, they are allowing us to come to this conclusion. Most of us love to talk and be heard, so we subconsciously buy into these ads. We want to be liked by others, and so we buy toys, colognes, and other accessories to be liked because we are led to believe so. We do this just to have people like us. All of these ads lead us to looking glass self. This is the idea that we develop ourselves through our perception of how others evaluate us. GQ is littered with media, or in this case, social media references. At the turn of every page, we are offered an option to like, share, or follow their social media pages. They are manipulating us in order to grow their reach and how many people they can offer their product to. Once we click like or follow them, we are now advertising and sponsoring their brand. Advertisers are associating a lifestyle, money, and power with their product. We are now desensitized and no longer question these ads. We simply buy their products blindly. The glass self shows its ugly head yet again. We want to be liked and accepted, therefore we continue to buy.